A man who gets rejected as the 13th apostle then decides to fake being the Messiah just to cure his problems. It would have been hilarious. However, the Book of Clarence decided to chicken out. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jordan and I love watching movies and then I review them. So let's go grab our popcorn and candy and let's dive on in. I thought this movie had a great comedic setup. It's about a guy named Clarence who's a nobody who fakes being the Messiah to gain that notability and also just to save himself. So I think the premise was good and it was very obvious they were being inspired by the Monty Python movies. Always look on the bright side of life. They were going for the satire for sure. So what's the problem? The comedy potential never took its stage. What this movie did was it tried to genre bend a little bit, where it was showing that it's comedy with some serious undertones, but instead of committing, it hesitated. Like, if you're gonna commit, commit. What we got then was a story that was being tug-of-warred in a few directions instead of just landing the plane in one area. Like I said, Clarence is this nobody who fakes being the Messiah, and so he ends up performing. Like, he fakes tons of miracles and he just ends up getting this following. And as it sounds absurd, it totally should have been. They really did set up this movie to be satirical, like the Monty Python movies. For example, Clarence is talking to his love interest and he's like describing her eyes, and the eye color turns immediate, and then she's like, well, guess what, your eye is like this color, I totally forgot. And his eye turned to that color too. Kind of on the nose, funny humor. And then there's Benedict Cumberbatch's character, which I don't want to spoil it, but he was hilarious. I died laughing with his bits. Gotta watch to find out what happens. So what happened that made this movie kind of fall apart? Honestly, I think that's somewhere in between the setup and the execution. That is where the movie started falling apart. They didn't want to commit. They ended up just pulling back. The way they were setting up was this lighthearted satire, and then all of a sudden, it got serious. Real serious. Very serious. Instead of the comedy carrying out its critique like proper satire does, what it did was switch its tone.
Jared. I forgive you.
Clarence is the twin brother of Apostle Thomas. There's a lot of tension happening between Clarence and Thomas because Clarence is telling Thomas, hey, you abandoned our family, yet you're preaching about all these family values. And every single time that the brothers connected with each other, it was kind of intense. Honestly, it felt like it was supposed to be in a different movie. The music got serious, the acting intensified, and the lightheartedness went bye-bye. Santa. Bye-bye. Now, don't get me wrong, serious moments can happen in comedy. I just watched Murder Mystery and there's tons of serious moments, but it was also very lighthearted. But here, I just feel like someone's like, oh, we're in the wrong movie. Let's go back to this melodrama. When rather, this movie was supposed to be satirical to begin with when sharing Jesus' story. The crucifixion scene is another example of how serious it got. Take a shot every single time I say serious in this video. But, I mean, the crucifixion scene was dead serious. There was no trace of comedy in that scene. You can tell that the filmmaker was trying to say something meaningful, but they didn't trust the comedy elements to convey that. So instead of having a cohesive tone throughout the movie, it flip-flopped back and forth between Monty Python and a biblical drama.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. I did.
I think the biggest problem with this movie is the genre confusion. This movie wanted to be a comedy, a drama, and a critique on religion all in one movie. But because it didn't choose one to anchor the film, none of it worked. It just did not work. They wanted to package it as a comedy, but then use the drama for the messaging. And again, they just didn't trust that the comedy could carry out those critiques. And I feel like that's a shame. Comedy is one of the most underrated vehicles for truth. It's dressed with humor, but it stabs with insights. If you wanted to critique religion in this story while using comedy, go for it. But you gotta commit with it. You gotta trust that the humor can carry the weight. Just don't sideline it. Imagine if they went all in with the comedy. Thomas could be healing strangers, and Clarence is in the background yelling, "What about Mother?" as she's wheezing. I mean, that's dark, sure, but it's sharp and it sticks. Or imagine this if they decided to go with the drama route, Clarence then fakes being the Messiah not for his own ego, but to help his mother. There you would have emotional stakes and clarity. So, why does this matter? I think it's because this movie had potential wasted. This movie had something, it had strong acting. The cinematography was gorgeous. And it had the skeletons of a great idea, but it couldn't pick a lane.
Who's Elaine?
And as a result, the movie became unforgettable. I'm gonna forget about this movie pretty quickly. And that's what I wanted to focus on today, the dangers of not committing. When a movie or a story tries to do a ton of things, it ends up becoming nothing. So here's the takeaway for today: don't underestimate the power of comedy. If you truly have a critique about something and you think the best way to convey it is through humor, go for it. Comedy doesn't weaken a message, it sharpens it. And with that said, which comedy do you think effectively addresses a serious topic? I want to know because I want to watch it and also get some laughs. And if you haven't already yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I post every Wednesdays and Saturdays. Help me get to 1,000. It's like a partnership. I make these videos and then you get to watch and enjoy them. How wonderful. And if you want to know what I'm watching, I do have Letterboxd, so I'll go ahead and put my username in the description below. Until next time, go stock up on that popcorn and candy, and I'll see you in the next review.